Okay, I just found out that a couple hours ago. Larry Vickers, yes, that Larry Vickers, was charged with several violations of the Hughes Amendment. Now, I assume that everyone that's into firearms in the United States knows what the Hughes Amendment is about. For those of us that don't know what it's about, federal government banned all machine guns, and the definition of a machine gun is if I pull the trigger one time and two or more bullets comes out, it's a machine gun. Okay, forget about submachine gun that, heavy machine gun that, lightweight machine gun that, magazine fed that. No, just that's just it right there. Now, according to federal law, if you want to buy a machine gun now, you have to A, live in a state that allows it, B, find a machine gun that was made before May 19th, 1986, and C, register with the ATF. And the ATF has a database full of guns that will allow you to buy, sell, and trade. And if your machine gun is not in that database, you must surrender it for destruction. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people know who Dragon Man is. Dragon Man is a Vietnam veteran who has a museum in Colorado, 50s Museum, Military Museum, gun range, FFL, bike shop. He can fix or upgrade almost any Harley Davidson you give him. He has every single firearms license you can imagine. And yes, he does make machine guns for law enforcement agencies. And he has everything you can imagine. He was telling one time in a video that he's had customers tell him, Dragon Man, I dug out my great uncle was 100 years old. He died. I cleaned out his house and found a Tommy gun or whatever the fuck I found. And you want it for your museum or whatever. And he would check with ATF, and ATF would say, that's not in our database. We need to destroy it. And Dragon Man would say, well, what if I de-weaponize it? Or what if I break it? Or what if I just use a display? Or no, we need to destroy it. Okay? They're called transferables, which means it's in the database already and you can transfer it. And they're a lot of money. You're looking at $4,000 for an Uzi. Also, if you are a gun range owner, you can buy a machine gun for your gun range, brand new. That is called a dealer sample, which means you can let your customers shoot at your gun range under your supervision. But you cannot take it home with you or sell it. And as far as other machine guns are concerned, like the post-ban machine guns, they're designated law enforcement or military only. Now, I could literally go on for an hour listing all the shit the military has in their collection. Machine gun this, rocket launcher that, bomb that, missile that, mortar that, recourse right, okay, on and on forever. Law enforcement agencies pretty much have three machine guns that they buy. MP5 full auto, M16 full auto, and occasionally Glock 18. Only a handful of law enforcement agencies actually have those fucking things. And when they do, they're normally reserved for the SWAT teams or for the riot squad or for some doomsday scenario. Okay? What happens there is you have a letter, a special letter from ATF that says, I am buying a machine gun for a law enforcement agency. And my own mother had the letter for many years. She retired, obviously. And that letter must be presented to any FFL, any manufacturer, anyone you're buying a machine gun from, you must have that letter. And the machine gun must go from the factory to the police station or wherever the police are using it. And it can never be used for personal use ever by anyone. It's designated duty use only. And I even mentioned a couple of videos over the course of years. If the sheriff buys the machine guns for his department, that's fine. But if he takes one, puts it in his car, and drives it home with him, he's looking at a federal charge. Apparently, no less than 6 people, including Larry Vickers, which include FFLs, manufacturers, a couple of police chiefs, were getting the ATF letter saying, I need this machine gun, which is probably an M4 full auto, for this police department because their riot squad is going to do that, or their SWAT team is going to do that. And some of the machine guns were actually taken out of circulation and put into private homes. And it is alleged that Larry himself took a machine gun home with him. That is alleged. Now, when you fill out a federal form, unless you're under Biden, you must tell the truth. And most of us, when we fill out the ATF form for any gun, period, have you done this? No. 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 And at the bottom it says, have you answered all questions truthfully? So if you were to lie in that form, you would commit 2 counts of perjury. 1 count is when I lie about what I did or didn't do. I'm a felon, I'm a domestic abuser, I'm wanted by the FBI. And the other lie is that I said I spoke the truth, which I did not. So you're lying about lying. Well, when you file that ATF form, that is federal testimony. I am filling out the ATF form because my customer is the sheriff and he wants to buy machine guns for the SWAT team. And I'm taking these machine guns and sending them to the SWAT team. But if I'm lying on that form, then I'm in trouble. Now, the issue is, if I have a customer who is a police commissioner or a sheriff or a director of whatever the fuck they are, and they say to me, I need machine guns for my police department, and I say, okay, and I give them the machine guns, if they take a machine gun home with them, that's normally not my fault. But if the federal government can prove that I knew it was going to happen, I'm just as guilty as they are. And the federal government is alleging that not only did Larry Vickers know that they were going to be taking the machine guns out of the inventory for personal use, but they allege he took one himself. Now, he was facing about 25 years in federal prison. He is 60 years old. Okay? And he did submit a guilty plea of some kind. I don't know what he's pleading guilty to. I don't know what that will encompass, but he is pleading guilty. Now, a lot of people are saying this law is unconstitutional. Okay, fine. Here's the problem with that. We are making pretty good progress in the Second Amendment community. Okay, California deemed the magazine ban unconstitutional. It's up for appeal. It may go to the high court. Several states are deeming that this ban this or that ban that is unconstitutional. That may go to the high court. The court decided in the Bruin decision that the gun control law, you must, in other words, in order for you to have gun control that is constitutionally protected, you have to be able to illustrate how it could potentially stop crime. Okay, like this magazine ban, if it only applies to law-abiding guys, is it going to stop crime? Or me putting this on my rifle, if it only applies to law-abiding guys, is it going to stop crime? So because of that Bruin decision, because the high court now says that you can only keep gun control laws in effect, or write more gun control laws, if you can illustrate how you honestly believe they can stop crime. which is a very, very, very high bar. And because of that trickle-down effect, most gun laws are being overturned, and they're appealing this, appealing that, blah, 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 bullshit. But the machine gun ban of 86, most people believe it will never be overturned. I cannot think of anyone that even brought a case against the gun before it. They've challenged this concealed carry law. They've challenged that magazine law. They challenged that purchase law. But I've never seen them actually challenge the machine gun ban in federal court. And most historians, most scholars, legal analysis believe it will never be overturned. If I'm wrong, I will have a come to Jesus moment. But they don't think it's going to be overturned. Why not? Well, there's two reasons. If you watch Barry and Eric, God rest Barry's soul, Barry and Eric said, well, this is what I say first and foremost. Every time a gun is used to commit a crime, you always get these fucking crazy assholes, liberals, saying, oh my God, we need to ban this now. We gotta ban that now. We gotta ban that now. It was an assault weapon. Well, imagine how crazy they would get over you overturning a machine gun ban. Okay? But Barry and Eric were saying that it's a rich man's game. Because an Uzi is $4,000. An M16 is like $20,000, okay? A belt fed is like $150,000, $200,000. Okay? Now, if it's in the box, unopened, mint condition, the price doubles. So if I have an M16 that came from the factory on May 18th, 1986, okay, and that M16 has never been opened, never been shot, ever, okay, I can get what I want for that money, for that machine gun. It's brand new in the box, and it's post-ban, pre-ban rather, pre-ban. I can get what I want for it. So all these rich motherfuckers, and Barry and Eric were talking about a guy in a machine gun shoot one time. The motherfucker, he had like $250,000 in his trunk. Okay, he had a Tommy gun. He had a Sturmgewehr. Where the fuck he got that from? No one knows. Okay. They have these. I mean, it's unbelievable because you could have a $50,000 Tommy gun. Okay? But if that ban is overturned tomorrow, it's a used Tommy gun. And why would I want to pay $50,000 for a used machine gun when I could buy a brand new machine gun? Because all of the corporations, all the FFLs, all the manufacturers, all the dealers, they'll start making brand new machine guns. And your $100,000 belt fed this and your $50,000 Tommy gun that is useless. It's worthless. I mean, Barry was like fucking 12 years younger than I am now. Okay? He was making the machine pistols, the Mac 10 machine pistols. And they had a side hustle. You buy a brand new AR-15 for $500. You give him $400 for parts, labor, and the tax stamp. And for $900, you get a full auto M16. Okay? Obviously, you can't do that today. Because if you're caught converting it, it's like 10 years in federal prison. Okay? And that's what they're charging Larry Vickers with. They're charging Larry Vickers with circumventing the 86 Act and selling machine guns knowing they're not going to be used for law enforcement. Now, the question is, can they prove that he knew that the police chiefs were going to take them home with him? Okay, here's the issue. They found one in his fucking house. So what's his defense there? I had an M16 and an AR-15 sitting together, and I took the wrong by accident? I mean, and it's just fucking horrible, man, because And don't focus on the fact that the gun law is unconstitutional. Focus on the fact that the odds of overturning it are very, very, very high, and that Larry pled guilty. So, and I've spoken to Larry several times. How about this one time he told me he was friends with Shugart and Gordon? I had a couple of conversations with him, and that's the one conversation we had. He knew Shugart and Gordon. He was Delta Force. He survived 2 copter crashes, okay? He has volumes of books on this gun, this series, that series, okay? He has accessories. I even own a couple of his magazines. I own a rifle sling of his. Okay? He had a couple of designs for the Wilson Combat Glock. He had a couple of designs for Wilson Combat 11. He had a design where he worked with Springfield. They made a 1911 from a Springfield gun, Wilson parts in it. It's called the Masterclass. Okay? He's been designing guns, selling guns, accessories, parts, all this shit for years. And I just can't get my mind on the fact that he would do this. I mean, this is such a reckless act. I mean, I feel like that little kid, the 1908 White Sox, Sadie and Sojo. I mean, that's how I feel right now. Yes, the law is fucked up. A lot of people think it should be overturned. That's fine. But why would you blatantly violate the one law that you know is not going to be overturned? And it's just heartbreaking to see this. And some guys are saying he's being railroaded. Some guys are saying they should put the federal prosecutor in prison. Okay. If the law is unconstitutional, what do we do about it? We sue the federal government over it. That's why you have SAF, Gun Owners of America. Okay, you have all these gun rights organizations, and their job is to sue the federal government to overturn most of these bans. But I mean, that's the one thing. It's one thing if you say, like, I have this Tommy gun that I found in my great uncle's house when he died, and it's not registered. He bought it in 1927 or some shit. He was 110 when he died. And I'm going to take it and put it in the basement, and no one's ever going to see it. Okay? Now, that's obviously illegal. But that's the thing where if no one who knows about it, that might be your train of thought. But you're giving the ATF documentation I'm selling machine guns to a police department. And they claim they can prove that you knew at least one gun was going through private sale. Or a guy was going to take it home with him. So now the ATF has documentation that you committed perjury. I can't believe he would do this to himself. I pray to God that it's somehow a bad dream. I'll wake up tomorrow or some shit. Or I pray to God that somehow they're gonna prove that his name was forged or he wasn't involved. I mean, I'm praying to God that'll happen. But you know what it reminds me of? Long time ago, a friend of mine from high school. It was 1 month and 20 days after graduation. He was driving out to Jones Beach. He had his driver's license 11 days. Bought his parents' car. Went out to Jones Beach. He had 2 girls in the car that were friends of his from another town. They were 2 years old. It was six. He was 18. They were 16. Another friend of his in the car, following him. They were allegedly in a drag race. But what is not disputed is drag race or not, he was going over 100 miles an hour. He got off the parkway, went into the parking lot, panicked, jammed the brake. The car spun into a fucking O-turn, crashed into one of those bus shelter things, exploded into flames. He died, the girls lived. One girl was almost paralyzed, and one girl was burnt to a crisp. Okay? And he died on Tuesday. He was buried on Saturday. They came out of their coma on Sunday. We were praying to Christ that the car somehow malfunctioned and the accelerator must have jammed. We were praying, unreasonably praying, that the car was malfunctioning and his foot's in the gas and accelerates too much and he lost control of it. And when the girls woke up, they told their parents and whoever else would listen to them that he was driving like a fucking maniac on purpose. And they were crying in the car, please stop. Please slow down. And he was ignoring them. And he almost got them killed. But now he almost got them killed. That bus shelter, there were 2 maintenance guys who were supposed to be paying that bus shelter. But by the grace of God, for whatever reason, I don't know, their boss said paint that one first, so they decided to paint that one first. They were painting another bus shelter further down the way. And they saw the accident from a distance. If they had been painting that bus shelter, or if anyone had been by that bus shelter, they would have been killed too. He killed himself. He almost killed 2 other girls, and he could have killed anybody in that parking lot. We were in shock. And that's kind of like what this is here. I'm in shock. I'm in shock that someone that we idolize so much, who gave so much to our community, would allow himself to become this reckless. All right, guys.